Epistle to the Hebrews, chapter 12. Wherefore, seeing we are also compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us. Let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking into Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your minds. Ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin, and ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are ye bastards, and not sons. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjugation unto the Father of spirits, and live? For they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers in his holiness. Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down, and the feeble knees, and make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame be turned out of the way, but let it rather be healed. Follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Looking diligently. See, this whole thing when people are like, peace, love, and granola, and the Lord is only wants peace. That's not true, right? We know in the Old Testament, God is a man of war, right? He doesn't just lay down and give up and stuff. So this is the type of peace, like, more spoken in the Bible, right? Follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. So it's the peace you're supposed to be following, and toward holiness, toward that means, right? It's not like peace on earth. God said peace is going to be all you need to do. No. Looking diligently, lest any man fall of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness spring up and trouble you, and thereby many be defiled, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. Oh. So just like this last chapter was everything by faith, this is about being chastened, and we have Esau here being mentioned. He's the only person so far. I'm looking down, I see Abel's going to be mentioned. Okay. For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. Yeah, well, you have to look at the other side of this story. Jacob, what was his part in this? Well, you know what his part was? His mother, right? Who was that? Sarah? And she's the one. She preferred Jacob. I don't know if Abraham preferred Esau, but he liked how he brought him all these nice foods, these different animals, because he was wild. But she did it. She's like, go. She's the one that did this whole cover up. Go and put this on your arm so when he touches you and gives you the blessing that he's going to feel, Esau's hairy arm. And she deceived her husband, Abraham, on behalf of Jacob. And look what happens to Jacob, right? He becomes quite deceitful himself, to be honest. Yeah, he did. He marries that, he had 3 wives, right? Well, 2, right? Well, more, right? Leah, Rebecca. Was there somebody else? But anyway, that Laban, their father, Laban means white, like Lebanon, Laban. It's the same word, right? It means white, right? Because Lebanon is the high mountains, right? Where Hermon, right, is, right? And so she's sneaky herself. Well, he's sneaky. Laban is sneaky. He's like, oh, no, no, no. You didn't just work for me for 7 years for that daughter. You got to work another 7 years for this other daughter. If that's the one you want. You have to take that, that's the first daughter. That's Leah. So, yeah, no, your favorite Rebecca. No, you're going to have to stay and work another 7 years, right? And then even after that, there was another reason I forget, but he toiled in all 21 years. It wasn't just 14. It was 21. And then he was sneaky because, Laban was sneaky. He had idols all over the house, and they were probably very accurate, and they told the future, right? It was like a teraphim or some other type of idol like this, right? And so when he decided, like, I've given this guy 21 years of my life, right? This is the end, because that guy never wanted him to leave. He would have kept him an indentured servant with one excuse or another forever. So he started getting sneaky over these 21 years, right? And resentful. And so, the day came and he's like, let's go, right? We're splitting. We're out of here, Rebecca. This is it, right? No more of this, right? And she's like, that's right. And on the way out, she takes her father's idol, probably the most valuable one he had, the one that he probably consulted every day, and it told him all the things he needed to know, anything he wanted to know, okay? And she took it. And so they took off, right? And even though Jacob had started getting sneaky with Laban about animals and about how they were going to divide up the flock. Well, I'm going to take this. You're going to take. You take all the spotted ones. I'll take all the other ones. And so he was already doing some kind of things that were kind of weird. And then the day came where they left without telling him a word, right? And then she's like, she took that idol, and then they came after him, right? And, this thing was very valuable. And to be honest, that whole story, I don't even think it was like he was mad that they left. I think it was only one reason, that he wanted that valuable method of divination back. He wanted it back. He's not caring about God and no idols. He wanted that damn thing back. It was telling him the future. And so he got struck by like a dream, I think. And God told him, don't you dare bother him or I am going to get you so bad, right? And he got really, really scared, right? It was specific. I think it was like, don't you raise your voice. Or it's like, don't do anything to Jacob or I am going to, like God just scared the living daylights out of him. So he gets there. He can't find it because it's underneath Rachel, who's sitting on the camel, and she will not get off it, and because she's telling them, I'm on my period, and like nobody wants to talk about it, right? It's like, oh, you're what? Oh, okay, no. So nobody even questions her, right, at all. And they search and they search and they rip up all the tents and they cannot find anything, right? So he just married someone that did that, Jacob. And he's like the father of Israel, and his wife is a total, I didn't really think about it like this right too much, but now I am. She was a total idolatress, Rachel, because look, she took that thing, we never hear another word about it, and in fact, right, how much did she use that thing after that? Well, why does she have that in the house with Jacob? Did Jacob, I bet she never ever told him. That's the only thing that could make sense. But on the other hand, right, didn't she die, like on the way to somewhere, and there wasn't really somewhere to bury her? And I think now she's in the tomb of the fathers, right? She's in, what's that place called? It sounds like Scottish. I don't know why, but the tomb where Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and they say Ishmael's head maybe, because it was the only good part of him. I heard that recently. And the women, except I think, unless she got moved, his favorite, Rebecca, this one at the idol, she died in the middle of like some place when they were traveling and they couldn't really do anything about it. But she was sneaky. And they never talked about what happened to that teraphim. She didn't just throw it in the dirt and throw it away. She may have been very afraid. But why would she? It's like her household idol. It's telling her everything. It's like, can you imagine that? Can you imagine what happened to her? She kept that thing and God's just like making that thing speak, just like making her mad and stuff because she shouldn't even have it. I don't know. So we're here capping on Esau, right? But let's not forget Jacob's side. He was not perfect. And I think what people say about him, I've heard it, he's like, his issue was he's kind of just sneaky. Like, I don't know about liar, but I don't know what a better word is for it. Okay, but lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau. So at least Jacob wasn't screwing the town and wasn't profane. Like, there's measures, right, I guess. And so even though Jacob liked to, tell stories, and it appeared he liked to gamble. He's sitting there working 21 years for 3 wives, which is kind of weird, and he just splits in the middle of the night without even saying goodbye to this guy. And this guy's making it up in his mind. You hear this whole thing, right, about, oh my gosh, how could you do this to me? You're my daughter. How dare you to leave me in the middle? I've taken care of you, blah, 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 blah. But, the fact was he just wanted that damn thing back. That's the way I see it. So he had problems too, but Esau, the fornicator or profane person. And we know what Esau did. Esau is Edom, Mount Seir. He married into this whole Nephilim troglodyte, created this whole another level. So that's why it's not like he just had a bunch of wives. He had a bunch of very dirty bloodline wives. Very dirty. And then they kept being dirtier. Like marrying more disgusting things genetically. Cross between people and humans. That's exactly what I mean. And then there's some story, is it in Jubilees? That I heard Zach reading from Life Travel Word. And he's telling that story about how there's these, it was Esau, somebody was leading their donkeys in the wilderness, and then there was some giant storm, and then they looked across, and there was 120 of these creatures with like heads like asses and bodies like men, and then they came over, and other ones like heads like bears, but the bottom part of like man. So it's some genetic like horrible chimera thing, and then they got on this guy's donkeys and rode off. Did you hear that one? But I'm starting to think, right? They had so like a satyr from this land, right? Edom, right? From Seir, right? And I think they're men on the, or they're goats on the top and men on the bottom. And then the opposite of those are the Pan, right? Who are the men on the top and the goat part on the bottom with hooves, right? So, but that story I just said that was, I think, Zach told about Jubilees, I think it was the animals on the top. Like it was in Seir, like those satyrs, right? Not like the Pan, who's the people on the top. So these like bear-headed and like ass-headed creatures came over from after this storm and got on this guy's flock of donkeys. Like, who even knew there were flocks of donkeys, right? But this is what this story's about, right? And just think about it, right? Like, people, it's a weird one, right? Like, people aren't going around with flocks of snakes, right? Like, those are reptiles. You don't even call them a flock, right? You'd be called, like, a den of snakes or something, right? I don't know the word. Oh, maybe I should find out. Okay, so, but in the story it says, isn't it? It's like a flock of donkeys, right? And you don't ever think about it, right? But like, it's like, you know how like a flock of donkeys, like nobody like leads down, but that's what it's talking about. Maybe in the old days they had a flock of donkeys, right? And then you have to start, I'm going to have to put this back to the story of Balaam, that talking donkey, which is pretty confusing. But then if you tie it to this story that I just heard, it may make more sense. But anyway, so let's not come down all hard on Esau, because Yaakov had Rebecca, and he naturally was kind of gamey. He was kind of, I don't want to say he's a liar, but, because that would not be appropriate. But here, we just got finished in 11 talking about the faith, everybody is so great. Now we've got one guy sticking out, Esau, right? That's all I'm saying. And like 20 people were mentioned who were good in 11, and now who are we going to point our fingers at? Esau! Oh, poor Esau. Yeah, right. Not really. He caused it more, right? What was Joshua supposed to do? Get it all out. Get all this chimera, all of these weird giant shorties, whatever, all these abominations out. And it didn't happen. He didn't get to finish the job. And now, what does Esau do? He's like, oh, he's just going for it. He's going for all of it. And remember, he was wild, right? He was wild. That's why his dad liked him. He's wild in more ways than that. I mean, that was just a significant notation on his personality characteristics that he was so wild. Think what happened when he started having sex with all these women, if that's what you want to call it. Okay. For you know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. And that's why I started telling this story. That he wasn't, you can't really say he's rejected for a bowl of soup, because the story is very clear that Rebecca, she thought of this whole lie. Let's just call it what it is. It's a lie. Rebecca's like, go in there, get the blessing before he dies. She's telling Jacob, here, put this sheepskin thing on your arm so, it'll make him think it's Esau. They totally lied. So, you can't really be blaming Esau for everything, because Rebecca and Jacob lied. So, who's telling this story? Again, Paul would know this, and Paul would have some sympathy. So I'm kind of worried. He was rejected. No, he wasn't rejected. He was lied on by his wife and his other son, Jacob. I don't care what anybody says. That's what it says in here. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. Well, that's kind of mean. So he tried to seek repentance, but all he can do is marrying into troglodytes and satyrs and Obamas, and stuff like that. I don't know who wrote this. I'm just blaming that person basically right now, because everybody has their problems. Everybody is a sinner, every single one, except Jesus Christ. So they want to pick Esau out like a sore thumb and talk about how he would have inherited the blessing. Well, you better go read that again. Talk to Sarah and talk to Jacob, because it didn't happen like on accident. It was taken. You know what? Forget that whole soup thing. They took that from him. We don't care about the soup. He's hungry. Yeah, I have my birthright. Sure, brother. It's not up to you. It's up to our father. They were just sick with it in the head. That Jacob and Rebecca. We want to hear the rest of that story. I mean, Jacob and Sarah, the mother. We want to hear the rest of the story, what really happened, how it really occurred. Because obviously there was some horrible plan hatched up by Sarah and Rebecca. And like I said, he's gamey, like the mother. So stop blaming Esau for everything. I don't like that. And then everybody in the whole world knows, yeah, he sold his soul for a bowl of red lentil soup. No, not really. No, because it's not true. Jacob didn't have the right to sell his birthright. Only his father did. And the only reason that happened is because Sarah and Jacob lied. So, anyway. For ye are not come unto the mount that night that might... For ye are not come unto the mount that might be touched, and that burned with fire, nor unto blackness, and darkness, and tempest, and the sound of a trumpet, and the voice of words, which voice they have heard, entreated that the word should not be spoken to them any more, for they could not endure that which was commanded. See, now this is not doing good in retrospect, to cap on the Jews like this. Are they still on Esau? Look, for they could not endure that which was commanded. Nobody could. And that's why now it's not condemnation, it's justification, right? So who is this person bringing this up? And if so much as a beast touch the mountain, it shall be stoned or thrust through with a dart. And so terrible was the sight that Moses said, I exceedingly fear and quake. But ye are come unto Mount Sion, and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels, to the general assembly and church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to God the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect. So why do you got a cap on Esau talking about they could not endure that which was commanded? It's not Esau, it was everybody. Even the Pharisees, even all the Sadducees. Nobody could endure the condemnation that came with this, right? There was no way out. So why is he pointing fingers? Into Jesus, the mediator of the new covenant. See, why don't they just leave that out up there? He can help himself. I don't know who this is. I don't think this is Paul anymore. And to the blood of sprinkling that speaketh better things than that of Abel. Oh, well, why don't you just throw the whole Testament out? Better things. Wow. He's really putting down the Old Testament, it seems to me, right here. See that ye refuse not him that speaketh, for if they escape not who refused him that spake on earth, much more shall not we escape, if we turn away from him that speaketh from heaven, whose voice then shook the earth, but now he hath promised, saying, Yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. And this word, yet once more, signifieth the removing of those things that are shaken, as of things that are made, that those things which cannot be shaken may remain. Wherefore we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have grace, whereby we may serve God acceptably with reverence and godly fear. For our God is a consuming fire. I don't know what to say, except chapter 11 seems to be talking about all the good things and all the people of faith, and then they're just like, they stamp chapter 12, boom, Esau. And yeah, by the way, nobody could endure the commandments, and, Jesus speaks, now way better things than that of Abel, so yeah, they're just throwing Esau and the Old Testament in the trash. Whoever this is, I don't know, that's how I feel. I would read 13. Should I read 13? Maybe next. It's the last chapter. I'll hold off. And then we get into James. And then Peter. And I hope this is not Paul writing for these people. I'm expecting it to be these people. And I expect that this Hebrews was not written by Paul. Because why doesn't it say so? The epistle to the Hebrews. All the rest say the epistle of Paul the apostle to blah 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 blah, Galatians, Corinthians, Ephesians, all of it. But that didn't, and I'm suspicious, and there was a couple. Okay, what this was good about is it explained Melchizedek. Other than that, I'm not sure. Then you have Peter and John, and then Revelation. Oh, Jude, who I believe is James' brother. And guess what? When I was, remember that time, and I'll never forget, they're like, Jesus' brother, Juan, Juan, and I'm like, why is there a Mexican guy in the Bible? And then a Spanish guy, and then I'm still trying to figure it out. But I looked it up the other day because I wonder about it, sometimes. And then it's like, he was talking about John the Baptist. But I think it's in Matthew, right? But doesn't he talking about his real brothers? He's like his brother James, his brother Juan. I'm like, Juan? But then I just thought accidentally for a second that has something to do with Jude. But I think that the next one, the Epistle of James, I think that's Jesus' brother. I don't think Juan was Jesus' brother. I think they're talking about John the Baptist. That's what they said on the Google. So I looked it up again because I'm worried about that. Yeah, I'm like, why doesn't anybody else talk about Juan, Jesus' brother? Is that why everybody calls it's so common to like Jesus, right? Like, does anybody else do that? No, probably not. So it was like, yeah, it's got to be it, right? Juan. So is he like another brother, John? Like, what were they saying? So you have to just think about it and do it for yourself. But I'm still confused about that. And I want to go back to that. And when I start the general epistle of James, I'm probably going to write that in the description. Whatever happened to, Juan. I think it's in Matthew. Maybe it's in Acts. But yeah, I'm like, whoa, who is this guy? But I still don't know. It's okay. We're almost done. Then try to put things together with all these notes covering these pages everywhere. It is a mess. Look, I can't. It is such a mess. Look. I need a new one, huh? It's a mess. But I have to read these back. It's probably very informative, and I'm sure the Lord will lay a lot of understanding and direction after that. Happy New Year in regular Roman time.